the man behind the masterpiece. Joe, thank you so much for chatting. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I wanted to say, and this is not just like we have a saying in Australia called pissing in your pocket, which is when you give someone like some positive feedback, even if you don't mean it. This is my favourite out of the entire like Avengers / Thor / any of the series of the films.
That's very sweet of you to say, so you're not just pissing in my pocket.
No, it's genuinely from my heart. I mean it 100%. You directed or co-directed with your brother? Is that
I did. That's
how
right.
How does that work? Because I mean, I'm not from that director world. Is it? Do you argue with each other? Or
we do. We argue all the time.
Sure.
There's a civil war between the Russo brothers every day.
Right.
It's, we like to argue out the concepts a lot, to make sure that it's the best concept. We always say best idea wins.
Sure.
So, and we've had a great relationship. We've been doing this for 20 years now, and I'll be honest with you, having two of us working on movies of this scale is very, very helpful.
Now, Stan Lee, obviously anyone who's a fan of any of the series know, where does he come into it? Because I don't know if he's over your shoulders going, I wouldn't do that, boys. No. I wouldn't be doing that. Or does he just let loose and let you do what you do?
He lets loose, lets us do what we do.
Okay.
I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is really headed up by Kevin Feige. And Kevin is very respectful of the directors, and he gives us a really wide berth with the stories we want to tell. Mm-hmm. And then, as we work through the script, we look for a great cameo for Stan as we're writing.
Of course.
And then, that's our interaction with Stan.
I did love his, he dropped it on the red carpet, I think, in LA last week. There's like, you're going to have to stay a long way into this one to see my cameo.
That's right, yes.
Were you thinking of, by that stage, were you out of ideas of how to work him into it in a way he hasn't been worked into any of them before?
I think so. You're always looking to keep it different with him, and you want to surprise the audience because they get a kick out of it. But you also want to make it relevant in some way.
True.
So, he delivers a key piece of information in the movie.
The concept of the movie is behind the promo of it is a Team Captain America, Team Iron Man. Yep. Do any of the characters stand out more to you than the other one? I think,
Cap and Iron Man are certainly stand out quite a bit in the film. I think both Chris Evans and Robert Downey are exceptional in the movie. They play very complicated characters in this movie. They're both right and they're both wrong at times in the film. And that was our intent. We wanted to make it a complicated story so that when you walked out of the theater, you were arguing with your friends and family about who was right. We just thought that would be a more, that would incite more conversation than just us as filmmakers telling you that one side or the other was right.
Sure. I feel like if you're Captain America, though, he is at times one-dimensional in the thought process that he has to be, everything is just and what is right. Well, at least with Iron Man, there is a chance for it to ebb and flow, as in he can do right by himself, he can do right for the greater good, and he has the character has that element to at least branch out and have a bit more depth to it.
And we're trying in this film to make it more complicated for Captain America.
Yeah.
The movie is about him having to make a personal decision in lieu of the greater good. Mm-hmm. He is protecting his brother, Bucky Barnes. They have that kind of relationship, a familial relationship. And so this is as complicated and flawed as I think he's ever been as a character.
Sure.
And I think people could certainly walk out of the movie and think that he is pretty crazy by the end of the film, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I also think that Tony, that this is probably the most righteous he's been because he's feeling an incredible amount of guilt about the events of Age of Ultron. So I think there's a bit of a role reversal going on in this movie.
In this movie, we're introduced to characters that have previously sat outside of the Avengers series or storylines, at least in the terms of like Ant-Man, Spider-Man is brought into it. Tell me, what do you know about? I mean, Paul Rudd, obviously, I'm guessing there's going to be another follow-up Ant-Man in the Marvel series for there. Is this a reboot for Spider-Man in terms of that actor? Do you know what you can and can't say?
Yeah, of course, this is absolutely a reboot. That was our intent, was to bring him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And this is mine and my brother's interpretation of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was a very important character to me growing up. It was my favorite character. I was a big comic book collector. And what I wanted to see, which I hadn't seen in the past, was have a really young actor cast in the role that was very near the age of Peter Parker or a high school student.
Sure.
I thought that would stand in great contrast to some of our more experienced older heroes, because you have this fresh-faced kid who's both vulnerable and confident at the same time, and Spider-Man's a very powerful character.
Yeah.
So you add him into the mix. and he's a newbie, but he can fight.
Okay, and one last question to wrap this up. You've signed on for Avengers Infinity War Parts 1 and 2.
That's right.
Where does it go? Is the script done? Have you got it in your head? Or is it literally from the very beginning and now after this?
We've been working on the storytelling for the last few months. I'm about to get a script in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So excited to see the script for both of those. And they're going to be a continuation of what happens in Civil War. The movie ends in a very complicated place. The characters in a very complicated place. Can they pull it together to face the greatest threat that the universe has ever faced in Thanos in both Infinity War 1 and 2.
Wow, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have to ask one last question.
Sure.
The little Easter eggs that happen after the credits, right?
Yes.
That the true fans love,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we wait in the cinema, even when the lights come on and everyone looks at you like, why are they still sitting there? Do you film 20 different versions so no one knows exactly what you're going to put in the final cut? Is there a plan behind it?
There's a plan, but typically, because other stories are evolving on other movies, sometimes we shoot those while we're shooting the film. Sometimes we shoot them months after we finish shooting the film.
Okay.
It's just really dependent on, who has the best idea of what we think should go at the end there, and what movies are we handing off the baton to.
Love it. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Great questions, by the way.
Nova.